Have you ever been in class and the teacher passed out the grade and you got your grade and you turned the paper over, you put it in the bag, didn't even really need to look at it. It's one thing if you feel like you're the only one that failed. It's another thing when you know everybody failed. You failed? Did you fail too? Everybody, you struggled too? Don't you kind of feel better? Corona exposed a lot of dysfunction. And you know what some people are doing at this time? They're literally just watching.
We are here, come to heal, help and restore.
In Nehemiah chapter 1, we're in chapter 2, but in Nehemiah chapter 1, Nehemiah was minding his own business. Nehemiah was captured, but he had a plush job. He was working as a cupbearer in the king's house. He was working directly with the king. He ministered directly unto the king. And as he was minding his own business, some travelers came by from his hometown, from his countrymen. And he got with him and he said, hey, listen, what's going on? How you doing? Hey, how is the country? How is everybody doing? How is the family doing? The report that came back to Nehemiah that said, listen, home is not well. I need you to understand something. Like home is not well. Like things are not going well. I need you to know the city is torn down. A lot of people are depressed. People are losing jobs. We're in Nehemiah chapter 1. People are confused and they don't know what to do. They don't have a plan. Everybody is just kind of existing. Everybody's like waiting on something big to happen. Like maybe it'll be restored. So you have to understand at this time, Nehemiah, that the children of Israel had received bondage. They were in bondage, and there was a remnant that was left. So for those who had not died or for those who had not captured, the rest were remaining. And so imagine being torn away from your family members and your loved ones. Imagine that your city has been set on fire, it has been torn down. It used to be glorious, but it's not glorious anymore. And so you have people that are just walking around existing. And Nehemiah gets this report and he realized in chapter 1, we're in chapter 2, but in chapter 1, he realized things are not well. And so we move over into chapter 2, and when you get into chapter 2, he still has to go to work. He still has to do his job, and so he's a cupbearer. And I don't know the preparation for a cupbearer. I don't know if you have to stretch. I don't know what all of that entails. You're a cup. You put juice in cups. I don't know. That's what his job was. Great job. I wish it had government benefits. I'm sure he got medical, all of that, because he worked in the palace. You got different types of cups. Maybe you have to stretch because you're doing this all day long or whatever. But as he's doing his job and as he's ministering to the king observes, hey, listen, you don't have the same spirit. I don't know if you've ever been to a restaurant before where you had a waitress or you had a waiter come to your table and they were serving you, but their attitude, it's almost like you wanted another waiter. Give me somebody that's happy. Now take your order. I don't need it. You're going to kill my food. You're going to kill my food. And so, I need somebody with a better spirit. The way that Nehemiah was serving the king, it bothered the king so much where he said, hey, you okay? Normally I wouldn't even ask you, but you normally are upbeat. You normally have a pep in your step. What's wrong? He said, listen, home is not well. Have you ever had to say that to God? God, home is not well. Home, things are not where they need to be. I realize that there are three types of people. I realize there are people who ignore fire. There are people, second type of people, there are people who watch the fire. And then there's a third type of person. There are people who put a plan together to put out the fire. There's three types of people. There are three types of people. There are people who ignore problems. there are people who watch problems. And number 3, there are people who get up to try to fix problems. What kind of person are you? I can go through some things and point out some things and say, oh yeah, we know that there are problems going on in the world. Yeah, I see this is happening, and yeah, I know we have problems in the family. I know we have problems here, and I see the problems. And then now some people say, I don't see anything. Have you ever pointed out a problem to somebody and they still don't see it? And so you try to break it down. Hey, don't you see that this is dysfunctional? Don't you see? Don't you understand? It's not an entanglement. Don't you? Don't you understand? Like you got to be clear. Like there's an issue. This is a problem. There's no high-fiving over the table. Like no, we need to fix this. Like we need to fix it because there are some people who purposely ignore what they see. The reason why, and some people, the problems keep getting worse and worse and worse is because they just want to be blind. They want to be blind. They'll get a report, or they'll get a message, and somebody will say, hey, listen, if you don't change your lifestyle, something bad is going to happen. If you don't change your lifestyle. And they say, okay, and they continue on, because what? There are 3 types of people. People who ignore the fire. People who come to watch the fire. Sometimes when you're on fire, everybody that runs to you is not necessarily there to help. When you're on fire and life has got you ablaze, sometimes people run to you just to watch. Yeah, that part. Just to see how loud you're gonna scream. You gonna make it? And sometimes they speak to you in the fire. You okay? No. What you gonna do? No. I need a hand. I need a hand. And then there are those who say, I need to do something about it. I want to let you know, Nehemiah was one of those that said, listen, I can't just hear a report and do nothing. Listen, I'm not the type of person where you can tell me trouble and I'm not gonna ask you, hey, how I can help. Like it's in my nature. It's in my nature. Like if I see somebody in trouble, it's not in my nature to keep walking. That's how some people look at you when they see you in trouble, but they don't have time. I hope you make it. I hope everything's okay. It's not in my nature. It's the story of the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan could not walk over. He had to stop. Are you okay? And then what do we need to do to fix it? This season that we're in is not a time for you to watch. There are some people who are complaining about COVID, but you were complaining before COVID. Like your life wasn't all that great before Corona. There are some people, your house was on fire before Corona. There was relationship problems before Corona. Your finances weren't all that together before Corona just exposed it. You know what Corona did? Corona blanketed those that were in trouble because Corona made everybody get in trouble. Have you ever been in class and the teacher passed out the grade and you got your grade and you turned the paper over, you put it in the bag, didn't even really need to look at it. It's one thing if you feel like you're the only one that failed. It's another thing when you know everybody failed. You failed? Did you fail too? Everybody, you struggled too? Don't you kind of feel better? Corona exposed a lot of dysfunction. And you know what some people are doing at this time? They're literally just watching. And what I don't want us to be is I don't want us to be a church that just sits and watch and we're waiting for something to just happen to just pick us all up. It's not going to just pick us all up and we all going to be in Disneyland by this time next year. If you're not, there's only 3 types of people. It's only the third type that's going to walk into a better state after this. So here we are in verse 7. He says, moreover, I said unto the king, if it please the king, let the letters be given to me to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over till I come into Judah. And a letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace which appertain to the house, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall enter in. And the king granted me according to the good hand of my God upon me. Then I came to the governors beyond the river and gave them the king letters. He says, okay, first thing that I'm going to do, because I'm not just going to hear about bad news, we're going to put a plan together and do something about it. When we realize that you're not where you're supposed to be, you don't just sit there and you watch it. You got to put a plan together. And on top of that, it should be Christians that should be more prepared than any other institution to be able to serve, to be able to respond, to be able to minister to those that are in need. So this is not the time for the church. Even for those who are hunkered in, you hunker in and then you sit down and you plan and you organize. So he says, hey, first thing I need to do is, he said, listen, I'm gonna need your credit card. Nehemiah went to the king and said, listen, I need your credit card. I heard that you own a lot of wood and forest, and so I know you have some governors who run the forest, and I'm gonna need to go to Home Depot, and I'm gonna need to pick up some timber, and free of charge. I need your credit card, and I need to be able to purchase that. I'm gonna also need some funding. Because here's what I plan on doing. The book of Nehemiah is a book about building something. But Nehemiah is a book about responding to catastrophe. And one man, you got to understand, Nehemiah is not a king. You have to understand, Nehemiah is not a soldier. You have to understand, Nehemiah is not a prophet. He's not a miracle worker. He don't walk on water. He doesn't have a staff. The Red Sea ain't opening for Nehemiah. Nehemiah don't do none of that. Nehemiah is a cupbearer. I do cups. That's what Nehemiah. Nehemiah is the man who do cups. You got questions about cups? You want round cups? You want square cups? You want cup with a large base? Talk to Nehemiah about cups, because that's what he is. Nehemiah is a what? He's a cupbearer. He's not a contractor. He doesn't do property. His job every day is to make sure the king is not thirsty. That's what he does. So his position, you would almost look at him and saying, you're not qualified. Who are you? Who are you to make a change in your environment, in your home, and in your community? Who are you? And Nehemiah did not consider himself or his profession that he would be disqualified to help his people. And so what he did is, the Bible says he went to the governors with the letters and gave them the letters in verse 9. Now the king has sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. The Bible says, when Sanballat the hornet and Tobiah the servant and Ammonite heard of it, it grieved them exceedingly that there was come a man to seek the welfare of the children of Israel. He says, so I came to Jerusalem and was there for 3 days. And what I want to talk about is I want to talk about the 3 days. And I arose in the night, I and some few men with me. What I want to tell you is you can't tell everybody. Everybody don't want to change. Everybody don't want things to get better. There are some people right now, they benefit from catastrophe. They benefit from things not going well. I want to let you know, anytime that you try to change your life for the better, you're going to have a Tobiah and a Sanballat. Anytime that you try to improve in any area of your, I don't care what area of your life it is, but anytime that you try to improve in any area of your life, you're going to face resistance. You're going to face trouble. So what he did is, he didn't make a lot of hoopla about it. The Bible says he arose in the night, I and some few men with me, neither told I any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. There was a reason. He had some dreams, but he says, I'm not talking about them. One of the things that we do is we tell everybody what we're thinking in our head, and one person make a little comment, well, that's a stupid idea, and now you're discouraged. Sometimes you need to keep your dreams to yourself. Think about how God gives you dreams. Go to sleep. He speaks to you while you sleep. And if he gives you a dream, nobody can listen or hear in on the dream in your unconscious state. Now, when you wake up, keep your mouth shut. He didn't tell anybody what was in his heart. He grabbed a few men and said, hey, come with me. I need to look at something. And what he began to do is the Bible says he rose in the night, I and some few men, and neither told any man what my God had put in my heart to do at Jerusalem. Neither was there any beast with me, save the beast that I rode on. And I went out by night by the gate of the valley, even before the dragon well, and to the dung port. Gotta go to the dung port. And viewed the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and the gates thereof were consumed with fire. So as we're in this season, what Nehemiah did, this is what Nehemiah did. I'll make these points and the lesson's yours. Brother Williams, what's going on? Chilling. Brother Williams, what you looking at? I don't know, just some stuff. Brother Williams, you need any help? Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Put that.
Check it out.
Brother Williams, you measuring anything? I mean. You know when somebody asks you questions, you want to tell all your business? Brother Williams, where you going? I'm just going this way. For 3 days. Brother Williams, what's in your heart? Just some stuff. What you gotta do, you gotta really look at your life. What's in your life that's not supposed to be there? What's broken? The news that Nehemiah received was things are not well at home. Things are not well in the lives of your people, so either are you gonna ignore it, or are you just gonna sit and look at it, or what you gonna do? Nehemiah said, okay. The Bible says in verse 14, then I went out onto the gate of the fountain and the king's pool, but there was no place for the beast that was under me to pass. Then I went up in the night by the brook, and he did what to the wall? Can you imagine Nehemiah? It's nighttime. Go home. Somebody said, go home. He was, I don't live here. The Bible says he's viewing the what? He's viewing the wall. He's mapping out a plan. Do you know why we struggle so many times? We're not planning. You wake up every morning, you're just living. We can't just be living. What's the plan? Some of you have seen certain memes and posts where people say, hey, listen, I'm just going to chunk 2020 and just wait for 20. You know what? 2021 going to look the same as 2020 because what's the plan? You still got to have a plan. Hey, it's okay if you recalibrate. Worked on that word all night. I said, calibrate. It's okay if you reorganize. It's okay if you restructure. But you know what you don't do? You don't just exist. Be like Nehemiah and say, hey, once I realized that things were not well, because I'm about to make some change. Some of you need to go home right now. Do this change. Some of you need to open up your books right now and say, okay, well, we're gonna have to cut Netflix, and okay, we're gonna have to move this around. We're gonna have to subscribe to YouTube movies because we need to cut this fee, and we need to stop making extra trips, and you need to walk around and you need to reorganize. The Bible lets us know in verse 16, and the rulers knew not whether I went or what I did. Neither had I as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest that did the work. Then said I unto them, you see the distress. See, you can't talk about something that you haven't really taken the time to really investigate. And you know what? One of the most difficult things to really investigate is yourself. You can't really tell anybody about you until you really take the time to sit down and evaluate, God, what's broken in me? God, what's not right in me? God, what is it that really needs to be fixed? Because I can't keep operating like this. Lord, I want to operate at a better place. How come the home is not healthy? How come my people are not well? And why is the wall torn down? We need to do something like this. And after he surveyed, notice he doesn't live there. He doesn't live there. But after he surveyed, you know what he did to the leaders that did live there? Look at what he said. Verse 17, then I said unto them. Verse 16, notice the audience in verse 16. The rulers, the priests, the Jews, the nobles, the rulers. Verse 17, then I said unto them, you see the distress that we are in. How Jerusalem does what? Lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with what? You see this. Come, let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more what? That we be no more reproach. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's words that he has spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands, for this was a good work. It took somebody. Sometimes when you're in a dysfunctional situation, the people that are in it don't have the energy to do anything about it. Here is somebody who's living in another place, and he walks in and says, we can't live like this. You don't see the gates on fire? I've only been here for 3 days, and I've seen enough dysfunction that are we just going to sit here and allow the walls to lie waste? Shouldn't we do something? Shouldn't we come together and organize? And the Bible says at the end of verse 18, and they said, okay, let's rise up and build. Do you know that there are some people that are willing to make things better? They're just waiting on you to bring everybody together. What if you brought your family together and say, y'all, we need to talk? What if you brought your brothers and sisters together? What if you called your mother and father? What if you called your cousins and your friends? What if you called your brothers and your sisters? What if you pulled your environment together and say, hey y'all, this is broken? Are we just gonna sit here and watch? Or are we gonna do something? In order to minister on an effective level, we can't just sit and watch the world burn. And we don't structure ourselves to minister to hurting people. You don't have to agree with a person to minister to them. A person could be crying and screaming, and they could be the one in the wrong. But as a Christian, that doesn't stop me. Just because they don't understand their plight doesn't stop me from ministering to them. There are a lot of people who are angry, confused. There are a lot of people that don't know what to do. And you know what I see? I do not see the church on the forefront of healing. Dr. Fauci is not going to heal the world. It's going to be Christ. So if we don't tell people about Christ, you can't people are turning to the government and say, what are y'all going to do? When they really should be turning to but you know what the problem is we've done? We have not taken the time to walk around and assess. We have not taken the time to really look and say, okay, how can we do this more effectively and really be a blessing to those who are lost at this time? Do we think that all of these things, I saw a quote that said, Pharaoh right now looking at us saying, y'all tripping over one plague. Pharaoh said, y'all tripping, y'all just had one plague. We went through it, we're out in Egypt. In Egypt, we had it back to back. This is an opportunity for us to show the greatness of God. So what it's going to require for us, it's going to require for us to not think of ourselves as just coming to just have worship. You have to literally think of yourself as a soldier. And how are you benefiting the Lord's army? And what are we doing in the kingdom to help build and to be a blessing and to be about the business? Worship is wonderful, but if I'm not working in the kingdom of the Lord, then what are we doing? If we're not serving, if I'm not using my education and my skills and my talent, I'm actually robbing the church. Because the church needs your thoughts, it needs your ideas, it needs your availability, it needs your time, it needs your hands, it needs your sensitivity. The church needs your smile. It needs your family. It needs your work ethic. While all of these things being brought together, what could we do if we properly walk around and say, hey, we're in a season now that we could really build something that could truly bless the world.
Calling to heal, help and restore.